Hello friends. So today I am going to share with you some of my cancer cases treated exclusively with homeopathy. I plan to share 3 such cases in 3 different videos. So let's start with the first video for today. Sorry, that is the first case for today. The first case is of a around 50-year-old female who comes to us with chief complaints like profound weakness. She is so weak that she cannot sit for very long, she cannot talk for very long. In fact, during the case interview, she gave me 2 or 3 symptoms like weakness, prostration and numbness in her right arm and in her right leg, and by the end of these 2-3 symptoms she felt really tired and she felt that I need to now sleep, and she actually went off to sleep during the case interview. This patient, the rest of the case was given by the daughter. So it was a house visit. I went to see her, and the first thing that I observed is that this patient is very obese, very fat old lady, and as I told you, when I talked with her, I see that she is very weak and prostrated and she can't talk a lot with me anymore, and she just goes to sleep. So these were my first observations: obesity and profound weakness. So I asked the history which is being given to me by the daughter. The daughter says that my mother's complaint basically started when she was around 40-45 years old, and it started with symptoms like hot flushes, feeling very hot, and she would perspire suddenly in between, with certain kinds of very easy anxiety and about small things like my son is going for an exam, how will he do in the exam, will he meet with a traffic jam during his travel, and what if he gets late to the exam. Such kind of anxieties she would have, and along with this she developed numbness in her right hand. So we took her to a gynecologist, and the gynecologist said, see, these are all typical symptoms of menopause: hot flushes, emotional disturbances. But then we asked the doctor, what is this right hand numbness, etc. He said it could be part of the menopause only, so nothing to worry. You just wait for a few months, this slowly will, gradually will reduce. So we waited. In fact, after 6-8 months, the hot flushes reduced. But we saw that this numbness in the right hand started to increase day by day, and slowly it started to come into the right leg also, and this kept increasing day by day, year by year, and for many years in between she didn't even feel important to let us know that there is numbness in this hand. And then suddenly one day we observed that she was dragging her foot while she was walking, and we said, mother, what is happening? So she said, you remember I had this numbness. Now that numbness and heaviness has increased to such an extent that I am actually dragging my leg, or I am not able to lift my arm. So this looked like paralysis. So the family panicked and they said, okay, we have to get this investigated. They meet a neurologist. The neurologist says that let us do a scan of the brain. They do a scan, and then they observe that there is a big tumor in the 4th ventricle of the brain, and the location of the tumor was such that they couldn't operate because it was very deep inside, involved a huge risk to try to operate that tumor and get it out. And chemotherapy, radiation was also not looking like it will be very effective, looking at the overall picture, the progress and the extent of the cancer and the size of the tumor and the age of the patient. So the oncologists were like, there's nothing that can really help her now. And looking at the size of the tumor, it looks like it's very big, and she may slowly end up into failure of her organs, because the brain functioning will reduce from here on. Even though the symptoms till now were limited only to the hand and the leg, but slowly this will increase and her whole brain may stop functioning because of the increasing intracranial pressure. In this situation, as they had no alternative, they chose to come to homeopathy, and they said, can homeopathy do something here? So looking at her symptoms, like the patient's complaints begin during menopause, and we all know that what pulsatilla is for puberty, graphitis is for menopause. So this symptom in mind, I see that there are other symptoms to match with graphitis, like the obesity, or the prostration, the weakness, and the anxiety. So when I asked the patient about her anxiety, the daughter says that she is very anxious about small things, like how things are in the house. Everything in the house should be in their proper place, kept in their proper place, very neat, clean. The house is a big thing for her. Whole day she's just cleaning the house, keeping the house neat and clean, keeping everything in its place, and she's very bothered if any of us don't maintain that order. So we all know another important symptom of graphitis is she is known as the ideal housewife because of her fastidiousness, fastidious about trifles, about the house especially. So looking at this, I felt graphitis is also a good remedy for cancer. So I thought cancer, obesity, prostration, anxious of trifles, this looks a very good picture of graphitis. And I give her graphitis, 200. Now what is interesting here is that this patient tells me only one thing. She says, look doctor, I know I'm going to die now and there's not so much of scope. Maybe you will be only able to relieve my symptoms. But my only request is that my daughter, one of my daughters, lives in the US, and I want her to come back, and I want to talk with her, interact with her once, and then I will be more peaceful to go. But looking at the prognosis given by the oncologist, I don't think there's so much of time, because my daughter needs at least 1 month to come back. So please see how you can extend my life. I said, okay, let's try our best. So then what happens, I give her graphitis, and I take a follow-up after 7 to 8 days. And the patient is not better. Patient is not better. So now what to do? I felt graphitis was a very good prescription. It was fitting the pathology, the peculiar symptoms, the mental symptoms. I said, this looks good, then why did graphitis not act? And what do I do? Because now what happened is, in between she would talk for 5 minutes and then she would lie down and sleep. Now she is continuously lying down. She has to be woken up, and then she will speak 1 or 2 words, and then she goes back to sleep. So it was looking that her brain functions slowly are deteriorating. So I said, I have to do something very fast, because Things are not looking very good. This is where, especially when you are treating pathology, it becomes very important that you look at the clinical aspects of a particular disease. So for example, in this case, you have brain tumor, and the main pathogenesis because of which all the symptoms appear is because of the swelling that this tumor creates. There is a lot of fluid accumulation, and this fluid accumulation, as it keeps increasing, the more and more symptoms you see. So when I understood this, the first thing that struck my mind is, it's very simple. I have to find a remedy which has swelling in the brain and which has this tendency to reduce swelling in the brain. So if you know, there are three such important remedies. The first remedy to be thought of is bryonia. The second remedy is kali moor, and the third remedy is sulfur. So I scan through all these three remedies, and then I say, okay, let me examine the patient and see what I can do. So I start asking confirmatory questions of bryonia. So now how do I ask? Is your mother aggravated by motion? So I say, okay, let us move her leg and see whether she screams or she says ah. So I do all kinds of funny things, try to move her legs and arms and see whether she is reacting. And then I see she does not react so much. Then the second remedy I am thinking of is kali moor. Kali moor, generally you have white discharges and white expectoration, etc. But she didn't have any cough or any mucus either in the throat or in the nose, so, or any glandular discharges. So kali moor also got ruled out. Now what was left was sulfur. So then when I thought of sulfur, suddenly it clicked to my mind, this patient was talking about hot flushes when this whole complaint started. She was complaining of being a hot patient and sweating and all this. I said, sulfur is a good remedy for hot flushes and feeling burning and hot. And then I just opened Allen's keynote, and if you read Allen's keynote, you find this symptom in Allen's keynote, which says, congestion of single parts, eyes, nose, chest, abdomen, ovaries, arms, legs, or any other organ of the body, marking the onset of tumors or malignant growths, especially at climacteric. I said, wow, her complaints began at climacteric. She had malignancy which began during climacteric, and she had hot flushes like sulfur. And then one more symptom that you can read from Allen's keynote of sulfur is this: to facilitate absorption of serous or inflammatory exudates in brain, pleura, lungs, joints, when bryonia, kali moor, or the best selected remedy fails. So I say, wow, sulfur looks good. Now can I find somewhere congestion, redness, burning? So I asked the doctor, do you see any congestion, redness, burning anywhere? She says, doctor, I was just thinking that I should tell you this. And she showed me that her right foot was really red and congested in the medial side of the right ankle joint. There was redness and congestion and tenderness. When I touched it, it was very tender, And then I said, yes, you can see congestion of parts also, redness of parts, along with burning, heat, inflammation, malignancy, menopause, everything fits in. My only greed was to see whether sulfur also has fastidiousness, whether sulfur also has anxiety. And then if you read some of the rubrics of sulfur, you will find that sulfur is given in some of the rubrics like anxiety on trifles, fastidious, etc. Even though popularly we consider sulfur a dirty person and not concerned about fastidiousness. So based on this, I give her sulfur because everything fits in. I see her after 2 days, she's getting up, she starts talking, she starts eating. And she stays like that for around 10-15 days. Her daughter comes in, she has a good time with her daughter, and then slowly after around 2 months, she again started to deteriorate, again she started to lose her consciousness, and she had this one particular symptom, that is pain during urination with burning urination. This again indicated sulfur. As I was continuing sulfur 206 hourly since I began, I considered to increase her potency to sulfur 1M, after which the patient did not come back out of this loss of consciousness. In fact, she went deep into coma and she did not come back. But the whole process was very, very painless for her, and we could extend her life by at least 3 months. So that is the first case that I wanted to share with you. I know some of you may feel maybe 1M aggravated and she went into coma. I don't know, because 200 did not seem to be working anymore. I had to do something to increase or decrease potency, but somehow seeing her vitality, seeing her sit up, I felt maybe the vitality is good and I gave 1M. So that's my reason why I increased the potency. So thank you. That was my first case. I hope you liked the case and you learned something from the case. Thank you so much.